adjustment on the no new tax rate. If you want to write it down, it's not going to make any difference. Look, it's 0.389654. That's the no new tax rate. The voter approval rate is 0.408276. Anything you want to say about that, Dan?
I got a change from the appraisal district. And
Yeah.
I had to make an adjustment to the calculations I'd already made. So I decided, since the rate hadn't been adopted, I'd go ahead and use the latest information. So,
I don't think that changes anything as to where we are, because
No.
what we have talked about was staying with our 39375, and that's what the proposed budget is based on. And that is our proposed tax rate for this next time. Proposed. So. And at that tax rate, the general fund is, it's the same amount of what we talked about before. If you look on that first page here, the general fund is $7,217,359.24. And road and bridge is $2,148,000. And that would make $537,000 for each commissioner. Now we've had discussion about, well, let's come back to those transfers first, because they really are on our special funds. Okay. Now, going back over what we had discussed before, I guess the first thing it probably would be one of the more important things to discuss. At our last meeting, there was a vote for a 2% raise for employees and no raise for elected officials or for persons that got their salaries subsidized from other places. And you've had a chance to look at the proposed budget. Is there any further discussion on any of that? I would like for us to talk again about the elected officials.
I'd like to change the whole thing.
All right, let's get it going. What are we going to do?
I just don't think that doing it on a percentage value is the way to do it. I do see pros and cons. At the end of the day, there's some people that work for this county that I don't think should get nothing. At the same time, we can't let that minority
Correct.
affect the people that are
Correct.
working,
We all know
doing a really
that.
good
There's
job.
some people that work hard, and there's some people that
Yep. And some of them, some of them work for somebody that should be maybe
Supervising
more,
them.
yeah, supervisor. And some of them are elected officials. So, that being said, I would like to see if we could afford a $2,500 raise per employee.
per year now. Per year.
Yes.
Per year.
The only problem I have with it is, what are we gonna do with people that get subsidized, so the other pay?
That's
I
my
don't-
very talking.
I don't think that they deserve to get that 2,500 if they're already getting more than that. Now, if they're getting less than that, then I could see us bringing them up to that.
Right now, no. I'm
Okay,
confused.
let's say they're getting 100, let's say they're getting 150. They're getting 150, I said, I think we should bring them up that other 50 to get them to the same amount as everybody else is getting.
So you're talking about a month then?
Yes.
I agree with that.
If you're getting over 2,500 and subsidize your salary, then you shouldn't get anything. If you're not getting 2,500, you should get it brought up to 2,500.
Okay. Trying to think if there's anything unusual that would be an issue. I mean, we can look at the subsidized things, because we have them on our.
I handed out a new sheet this morning also.
Oh, okay.
Some of the other things now that's gonna happen is some people are gonna go into another income tax bracket or another tax bracket, and they may be bringing home less than what they were before, but that's just, and I've seen that happen.
Okay.
26 pay period.
That's correct.
Where's that pay period?
About $90-something.
How much?
90, I don't know, I think I figured
I think it's 100.
maybe 110.
Got an accountant in the back.
Because
I
if
don't
it
have
was,
a my
if
calculator.
it was $100, per
They probably got a
that'd
phone
be
there.
2600, so it's
I
gonna
didn't
be
bring mine up,
less
so I don't
than,
have my calculator with me.
less than.
Plus you're gonna take out taxes, you're gonna take out taxes, and you're gonna take out
Yeah.
retirement,
Yeah.
all those kind of things.
And then the county has to match that, all of that.
We've already matched the $63 on the insurance, or 62,
A month.
$700 a year.
Now, this is the cost of living raise, correct?
Yes.
I'm getting a little over $96.
Here you go.
Are we talking about just for elected officials, or are we saying everybody? Just so everybody knows, I'll make sure I'm understanding.
Isn't that correct?
I threw it out to everybody just to get some discussion started, and, I mean, the main thing, I didn't like the way we left it Friday.
If you give a percentage rate on somebody making 30,000 and somebody making 40, it's not fair.
Exactly.
We've been through that years and years, and we did that, we feel
We've done that.
dollars instead of percentages.
Mhm.
It's
A
changed
few
every time
times.
since I've been here.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's on that raise sheet we have, I think it's a few times they gave a amount instead of a percentage.
And you're talking about doing this from now
This
on, or just this next year?
is the cost of living this year.
Yeah, but once you add it on as a cost of living raise, it's a
Wow.
raise. Yeah. I mean, you can't, I guess you could just say, well, we're gonna raise everybody's salary $2,500 this year, and then it goes back. But it's a cost of living raise
No.
goes up.
Every year is a different budget. If you're budgeting on this year's right now, next year you'll do a different budget for next year.
I know, but I'm just saying, if you,
Right.
if it's not adding on and staying on, then, the cost of living, if the cost of living goes up 2%, it's gonna be up that same 2% the next year, so we don't just drop back,
Right.
is what I'm trying to say, yeah.
Right, it goes forward.
Unless we have a huge depression, and then we'd have to look at it a little differently, but, you know.
You know, the cost of living and cost of doing business, even in the county, it's gonna cost us more next year. I mean, tires are gonna cost more, fuel's gonna cost more, it's gonna cost more to operate. And, but the people that work for the county, they're gonna incur the same thing.
Mhm.
And it's been 3 years for elected officials since we've gotten a raise.
Well, out of the last 6 years, I think 3 times elected officials didn't get a raise.
Correct.
That's correct.
And one year, about 5 years ago, in our travel, we took, what was it, $150 a deal of less than that. And that's been for 5 years from our travel.
Mhm.
And your phone,
Yeah, we had a $600 cell phone allowance.
that's a,
They took that.
That's been gone before I started.
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know.
but I mean, the other one was 5 years ago. I think it was 5 years ago. You were here, Andy?
Mhm.
No.
He came after me.
I mean, when we reduced the travel.
It went from 16.2 to 14.4, correct? Does that sound right?
Oh, I got here. 14.4 when I got here.
Anyway, it was reduced.
Well, I'm not saying what amount, but I surely am saying that I really support all of the elected officials getting that raise, whatever raise we decide on.
I'm in for the 25. Make that motion.
I second.
Are you saying just elected officials? Because that's what she just said. Are you saying all?
All employees.
Okay.
Officials and all employees.
Right, she just said elected, so make sure we had the right thing being presented.
Now, that's.
Yes, because I want to be sure that was added. I would request it. That's what I'm in favor of, is it being added.
And that's gonna be added on every year. I mean, it won't.
It'll just be in there from now on.
Yeah.
So if right now you
It's
make,
not a one-year deal, you know, we started earlier, it'd be just this year.
1 year. I
that
mean,
was the
forever.
question, but no, once you add it on, unless you next year decide to reduce everybody's salary, it's in there, it's on there.
We're gonna do raise the taxes this year.
Maybe we'll have a big company come in or something.
Hey, we could not give it to Road and Bridge since they're already at 40,000 a year. That would help a lot. Road and Bridge employees already make 40,000, so you could just not give it to them. That would save you a lot of money right there.
Well, and we talked about not giving it to Commissioners Court, everybody but Commissioners Court.
I'm saying employees, they're at 40,000, they're making more than deputies make. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So we need to
Whose
clarify
fault was
what
that,
our
though?
motion, pardon,
Ain't my fault.
is what?
Y'all make the
That's for whose
decisions.
fault that was.
The
I mean, how did
commissioners,
it get that way?
the commissioners give their people the raise themselves. And y'all are the ones that approve it. Not you,
It
you
had-
weren't here.
But still, it had to start a long time ago, that's what I'm saying.
Some people were given the raises before the 2% raise. And then they were getting a raise on top of that, so they were actually getting 6%, or they were given 4 ahead of time when they weren't supposed to be doing that. And then come back and doing the 2% later.
Well, we need to figure out about, if we're gonna do this, if there's any vacant positions, they don't need to get that next year.
They don't. Once this is, that has been our policy, is when the raise is approved, anybody that's currently employed gets that raise, but anybody after that does not get the raise. So that somebody that is hired tomorrow, or the day after the budget is approved, they don't automatically get another raise. Because it was so confusing for one thing as to who got the raise, who didn't, how we did it. All right, what we have, let's start, would you withdraw your motion
I withdraw.
and second? All right, let's start over and let's make it really clear in our motion. Who's gonna make them? Are you ready for a motion?
Well, I'll address something that Craig asked, but we're gonna have to raise the tax rate. I don't think we are.
Well, we can, there's some things that we are budgeted for that we could say we're taking it out of surplus, so that there are other things that we could take them out of surplus, but in order for us not to have to raise the taxes for this time. For example, the cars, because that's not necessarily what we would call a operating expense. So we could decide what amount we might want to take out this time, since we're this far along already, out of surplus. It's not gonna be very much.
And on those cars, we know that the sheriff's department salary is gonna have roughly $40,000.
But that will go
Yeah.
back, that'll go back into surplus. So if we're taking it out again to use it for something else.
Right.
if
But
that's
that's
how
still
that-
that amount of
Yes,
money,
yes,
could go toward those cars.
it will, yeah,
Yeah.
indirectly. Go into the surplus and then take it back out, yeah, yeah.
And when you say surplus, are you talking about the CDs, like
That-
everything?
You take everything to get your asset amounts. We're mainly talking about cash, though. Your cash, less whatever liabilities you have, and then that's basically what your fund balance is, to me, because buildings and things like that, you know, you're not gonna sell them to, hopefully to raise money, but, so if you just look at what the cash amount is, I guess is what we look at. We did look at that yesterday, and are we a little bit ahead of the cash amount as far as what we have today and what we had this same day last year?
A little bit.
A little bit ahead. Have a little more cash in the bank than we do. And that's not counting that,
It's not counting the 1.9.
not counting that American Rescue money.
Correct.
She's talking about an increase of about 250,000.
Approximately, that's a few hundred employees, if you say that. We have some part-time.
Not everybody will get it. There'll be some that won't, that will already get more than that.
Very on. I'll make a motion, I don't know how to word it.
You think we need to vote on this, Doug?
Judge Grant, I'm just looking at the numbers, and it is about $1 million. 11.6 versus 2.7, 10.7 on the fund balance, yes.
We decided today, so we could short meeting for the 18th.
Well, if we decide to do that today, we're gonna have to put that off till the 25th
And,
to approve.
I mean,
Because we are gonna have to publish it in the newspaper, and then we have to give notice, and it has to be 10 days before we approve the budget and the tax rate. Has to be published 10 days, and we can't get it in this week's paper because it's too late. So I have to go to next week's paper, and then it can only be 10 days after that. So today is what day?
but if we wait till the 18th, it's still got to be put off. We just moved it on, put it down.
What is today?
Four.
Okay, so it'll be the 11th, and it goes in the newspaper, so it can't be before the 21st about that, or maybe 22nd. And so it'd be, we could do it that Monday. We could count the days, and as soon as that's done, but we couldn't do it on the 18th, we're just short days.
Well, what I'm saying is, if we wait till the 18th to make this decision, do we still wait the 2 weeks, 2
Then it'd be 2 weeks later.
weeks later?
We could have another special meeting, if y'all want.
If we make it today, or we cancel the meeting on the 18th.
Well, that's our regular
It's a regular
meeting.
meeting.
That's our regular meeting, that's all. We're trying to get it all lined up, so it would be less meetings.
We're gonna do it, let's do it today if we're not.
cost of doing business.
Cost of living raise of $2,500 for all employees of Freestone County plus elected officials. That's it.
That's what he said.
You forgot to take out people that's already receiving more than $2,500 per year in supplemental salary. That's the exception.
Okay.
Who would that be? Who's getting supplemental? Are you talking about the incentive, or what are y'all talking about?
Clerk and CA.
When ours isn't over. Oh, you talking about what the state supplemental?
$2,400 a month, $2,400.
Comes out of seizure money.
Would that include like, I mean, cause, you know, the juvenile board members, the
Yeah,
state
that's
supplement, I don't know, travel, would that be considered a supplement? I don't know. And then salary supplements are listed on here. Is that what we're talking about?
I don't know
Travel's
what
just
mine
real
is, but I
supplement.
wouldn't want to put it on there.
Travel ain't nothing but a wash if you do your job.
And I wash, you were losing money, every time you need to get furniture pickup and buy the gas, like some of them do.
All right, it's not too late, we can do it today.
I mean, someone's gonna do it, they already do it, because
Yeah.
our travel and county commission, that's a loss. It ain't no one, it ain't no even like that.
So,
And we do-
travel is
that.
not considered the supplement thing, is that right? I need to talk about
I
that.
think so.
I just want to make sure
Sure.
I understand, so.
Our travel's not something, we're going in, we're doing the county a favor by doing that.
We're just,
When they do this,
just asking when we to be clear,
You
you know, it's not a supplement.
You have to ask.
Do what?
He was asking about part-time, and I said, just in the past, part-time hasn't been included in that, but, you know, that's.
That's by hour, isn't it? Or do you have yours
I don't, I just wanted to bring that up. I know what the same thing is. If there's someone working 20 hours a week and you're giving all officials and county employees $2,500 raise, I would just think you do half that for someone that works half the time.
Well, we have policy we have for part-time is that they do not get any benefits. And you can pay up to $12 an hour for part-time, up to $15 an hour in road and bridge. You know, we might need to look at changing that amount, that we could pay more per hour.
That would be great.
You know, that would be addressed from that side, you know. All right, so,
I said one thing, if this goes through $2,500, you're gonna pay part-time more. I think so, if it goes through.
and that's something else that we can discuss, we can put on the agenda to discuss at another time.
How about changing the per hour amount?
The per hour amount. We haven't changed that in a long time.
No, it doesn't.
My part-time has been, a lot of mine is just seasonal. If I work on, I don't wanna pay anybody.
Well, that doesn't mean you have to. Well, you do have a choice. We could go up to a certain amount.
All right, back to the motion.
I was thinking 4% green.
Accept anyone that gets a supplement.
Yeah. Like, he worded it, but I don't think he worded it correct.
No,
just said if they-
don't say accept, say anyone that
Not
would make a motion that each employee gets $2,500 annual raise, and any employee that gets a supplement anything between the amount of the supplement and $2,500 would be their raise.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. What else?
We still talking about money?
Y'all got the, yes, he has a motion.
Oh, okay. I got another deal after we get through this.
That's your motion?
Yeah.
You have that? Perfect, okay.
Do we have to withdraw those others for all of that?
No, because you can change anything at any time.
Let's change how much money Road and Bridge.
We can do that, yeah.
I second that motion.
Y'all won't vote on this today. What's your thinking? You got a vote?
What's my thinking?
What do you want to say?
Do you have a different idea? Let's hear it.
I just, I wonder if we're gonna vote on this today or not. I'd have a lady when I come over, we're gonna vote on something like that.
We can recess till tomorrow and think about it.
Y'all wanna go on with it?
I'm ready.
I second the motion.
Y'all go on with
All in favor, aye.
it?
Any opposed? Motion carried. All right, we will need to get new letters out to the elected officials, and we'll need to republish all of the, well, now the longevity, we'll just leave the longevity. And so that won't be quite so obvious that we've changed our position. Then we'll just post our elected official raises again. And we will need to also publish the notice of when the budget will be adopted, which will put it to the next week. I think we probably do need to have another short meeting then. Today is, let's see, it had to be Monday to announce the date that we're gonna do all that. So that it will be, you know, public notice and everything for Monday, because it's too late for this week. Okay. But we'll go ahead and get it in the paper for next week so we can, okay.
Judge, may I have one other thing? What is the top pay, part-time pay? How much is that? I mean, in Road and Bridge, like $15.
Road and Bridge is 15, everything else is 12.
Everybody else is 12.
Would you like to put that on the agenda?
Well, I just want to, since we're in budget, I'd like to talk about the new dump station, the transfer station. And that man's been down there for several years, and he's requested a raise, and he's done a pretty good, an excellent job, in my opinion. I've been down there, and it's not very easy. He has to keep up a lot of things, and I think that we need to somehow look at raising that position to get $15 an hour. I don't know if that's under Road and Bridge or it's under what he gets paid out of. I'm not sure what
Well,
fund.
it gets paid out of county services, which is not considered Road and Bridge, because they don't, you know, they don't have to have any type of license, CDL or equipment or anything. And I think, now this is just me, since that's the policy, you know, we have a lot of good people that do a great job, but if that's the policy, I think we need to address changing the policy, raising the policy if we're going to do anything different.
I was thinking we had some part-time employees that made more.
We do.
Well, I think those part-time positions all went into full-time positions last year, so I don't think right now you have anybody outside of Road and Bridge doing 15, but you have had in the past. But those positions, I think, turned into full-time, didn't they? You had,
I think, yeah, put on the agenda.
Wait just a minute, you're talking about somebody that is not Road and Bridge that makes more than $12 an hour?
there was, y'all had approved that before, but those positions turned into full-time, so no longer are they making part-time salaries. But
Okay, yeah. But that was the district judge that said that, the one I'm thinking about.
Well, that's a county position, right? Isn't the district court coordinator a county position?
It is, but the district judge
Oh,
is the
so
one
it's
that
that.
asked for that pay, is what I'm saying.
Oh, gotcha.
Said that that's what.
Gotcha.
but it's no longer. All right, we'll put that on the agenda. All right, then I do want to talk about one position. Well, we don't have to do that today. All right. Since we're going to have a meeting Monday, we may wait and talk about this one. Constable Precinct 2 had asked for some equipment and things, but he was going to check out that data and see if it would work for him for what he needed, so we'll have to come back to that one. And, Beth, would you write down and let's see if we can get that agreement from Limestone County, so we can have that on Monday's meeting? And I guess since we're having a meeting Monday, we'll just, I don't have anything else really that we have to talk about right now, unless someone else would like to talk about something.
I have one thing, and if this is something that we talked about outside this open court, that's fine. Just leave me to that path. Something that I had picked up on at the last meeting that was a little concerning to me, and I just want to tell you where I'm at on it, is that one of my employees, that half of their salary was coming out of the EA budget. And I wasn't aware of that. That's not what I had budgeted for, which, you know, I don't necessarily see anything wrong with it, but what I'm concerned with is that if I'm the new EA and half of an employee for the county is coming out of my budget, I'm thinking that this is a 20-hour-a-week person. And I don't think our office could function well if I lost an employee for half the week on a regular basis. The discussion that I've been involved in has been that we would lend an employee during their busy times, which conceivably was coinciding with our slow time. And I'm perfectly fine with that. If need be, I could see maybe lending to people if we could do it. You know, if it helped the new EA get over a hump or catch up on something, or certainly during elections, which are fast and furious, I'm sure. But I just wanted to make sure that we weren't going down a road where I would basically lose one employee 20 hours a week. Yeah, that's concerning too.
The way I understood it, but this is just the way I understood it, was that that person would continue to be the voter registrar and do that job until, at least until the new election administrator had all her duties lined out and was working, you know, had her part running like it needed to be.
So we're talking about a temporary basis?
Well, and then look at it and see where we are and what we're going to do, yeah.
Because, you know, what we had tried to express to the court is that it took one of our employees about half the day to do the voter registrar part. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Mr. Jarvis had said roughly about the same thing. It takes, you know, about maybe an employee about half the time. That was to create one position. So I would think the new EA would, at some point, you know, I know things are tough at first, but would be doing the day-to-day voter registrar. I kind of see the voter registrar as, for lack of better words, your busy work. You know, it's stuff always coming in, always going out. It's what you do kind of day-to-day, and then you get a little busier, certainly around elections or when you're having to do stuff with polling places. So I just wanted to, you know, we're all on the same team here. And so
well, and, you know, not knowing, you know, from what Linda had said when she was doing elections, it was like all of y'all worked on elections all the time. So it was really going to take more than one person to do all of that.
During the actual elections. Correct?
Well, she said all the time.
Well, I mean, busier, of course, during
Of
the
course.
election time, but you're always something to do.
Mhm. So I'm thinking, or what I was thinking is, we would get our election administrator comfortable in what she's doing, and then maybe come back and revisit, is she gonna need another full-time person? Can she go with a half-time person? You know, how, if that transferred over into hers, or just see how that kind of works out. Because I'm thinking that y'all will still do the voter registration until she gets comfortable with all of the other parts of that. Is that correct? And it doesn't mean that she has to go and be in that office half a day.
Yeah.
That she would just continue doing the voter registration until the election administrator learned her job.
Well, and that sounds like a temporary thing to me. I just want to make sure that I'm not agreeing to lose half of the employees.
Well, you know, that, going back to, that was what the original thing was they were gonna take one from the county clerk and one from the tax office. And then somehow that kind of got changed also. So I don't know where we are really on that. That was just my understanding,
Okay.
to kind of work through it and see if she was gonna need just a half-time person, or, you know, what we'd need later on. But mainly that y'all would continue doing the voter registration while the election administrator was learning her job.
And that was before you were here when we started talking.
Yes, it
But
was.
it was one out of your office and one out of the clerk's office, and we had hired an election administrator.
So remove
And
two.
both parties, yours and county clerk, agreed to that.
At one time, but we just
And
have
to me, it
to,
still ought to be that way if we done hire an election administrator.
Okay, well,
That was for your time.
yeah. And that's why I'm saying, we'll just, I'm thinking we'll just look at it when the time comes and see if we're gonna need a full-time person over there, and how we're gonna work that out.
okay. Well, I'm just looking out, you know, like
Oh, sure.
like I said, our office is very, very busy.
Yeah.
You know, if I was to lose half an employee during half the day, that would almost be like, you know, I told you about how we stagger our lunches to have enough people
Yes.
at the front. That'd be like being on lunch all day long.
Yeah, which to me seemed more logical than to keep that desk in there so she could work when she needed to on
And-
that.
and that's what had happened
do
in
your
the
stuff
past.
And, you know, but,
That person's removed out of the office, sitting in another office, working,
yeah,
they can't answer the phone, they can't help
Right,
sloop
right.
if people comes in and then go back to registrar. And so
Yeah.
just some, you know,
Yeah.
logistics, but we're all on the same team. I feel
yeah.
confident we'll
And
get it.
that's why I thought it'd be better to keep it in there, because some days you may not be doing anything on voter registration. You could be doing, when your busy time is, doing all of your, what you needed, but, and then just kind of work it out, yes.
I would
After
say,
after we get into it, then see what we need over there, and, I don't know.
okay, well,
Some of y'all say what you think, that's just what I thought, so
all right.
it's a work in progress, I think.
Okay, well, thank you for your
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
When does our EA, when does she start?
she's already started, and she'll go to school this month.
They're in it right now.
Are they there right now?
They're gonna come back today.
Is that where Linda is?
No, she's on
On vacation, okay, yeah. All right. What else? Is there anything else that we needed to decide today that y'all can think about? Main thing are those timelines, you know, we need to be within our timelines. Okay.
I make a motion with John.
Wait just a minute. Nothing. I got it written down, sorry, I got it written down. Second.
All in favor, aye. Hallelujah, adjourned.